Welcome, everybody, to Prospect Basketball Weekly, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings on Mount Prospect. I'm here with head coach John Camardella. Thank you for joining me today.
Always a joy to be with you, Wyatt.
Thank you. You played Rolling Meadows on Friday without one of the state's best players, as you were referring to last week.
Yep.
How did that change the overall game plan?
I mean, to be honest, it surprised all of us. I felt really badly for Max. I know how much work he's put into this season, into his career. And Coach Katovich and I are good friends, but we walked into that gym and none of us had any idea that he wouldn't be playing. So just a matter of refocusing our guys, getting ready to play, no matter who steps on the court. And I was proud of our guys for the start we got and then how we sort of maintained it throughout.
Absolutely, and now you're 5-0 on the conference season with 2 home games and 3 road games left. What is going to be the focus heading into Wheeling on Friday night?
Well, I joke that Wheeling's like our second home court, by playing the Hardwood Classic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've already played 4 games there. Our guys are really comfortable with the court. Coach O'Keefe and those guys, really will play their zone defense hard. I could expect them to throw a few twists at us the second time through. And it's a matter of just adjusting out and making sure that our guys are ready for where they need to make their reads at, how we got to rotate on defense, and how we have to try and limit a couple of their better players. Yeah,
you had a strong adjustment on defense as Wheeling got off to a really good start to the first 2 minutes of the first quarter in your first game, which is, can you believe it, the first divisional game of the year.
Right.
So what are you going to have to do this time to keep it that way where Wheeling was just off all the rest of that game?
Yeah, it's an important question because whenever you go through a 10-game season, you go, right now we're at that midway point. Now it's a matter of which team can adjust, which team can figure out the way the last game was played. You got a lot of moving pieces. Sometimes teams will have different lineups run out. The second time you play them, sometimes they'll alter their offense, their defense. So it's a matter of adjusting, still being who you are, but also adjusting to what a team might throw at you. So this second round of the East is always, it's entertaining. The games get really exciting. I would expect very much of the same as we head over to Wheeling Friday.
Absolutely, and you also you went over to Schaumburg on Saturday, and that was a very bone-defying loss.
Yeah.
How did you think your players reacted to a very, very close game against a really competitive Schaumburg team?
Yeah, I mean, they put it to us for most of the game. We were down double digits at halftime, down 14, 15 points in the third. And early in the fourth quarter, called the timeout, talked to our guys, and ran off a 10-0, 12-0 run and got within 3 points. And so it would have been very easy, with that being our third game in 5 days, 6 days. It would have been easy for our guys to sort of just pack it in, and we could have walked out of there with a 20-point loss. Mm-hmm. Instead, they rallied, did everything they could. We had a couple of mistakes there at the end, but overall, when I look at that game, we didn't need to play that. Coach Heisler and I decided to schedule that for both of our teams to give us a test, to get to see each other, really challenge a team that we have a lot of respect for, and that we could see later down the road.
Yeah.
And so it was a game that you always want to win, but it wasn't the end-all be-all. It was a good test for us. I think our guys will learn from it and hopefully just continually make us better as we go.
And how critical is it that you can face the teams from the MSL West, like you faced Barrington already and you faced Schaumburg just recently, and as well as Conant in the St. Viator tournament? How important is it that you face these teams from the West before potentially you meet in late February for MSL Championship? Yeah,
not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but no, you're right. It's important for our guys to know the different styles of play. Going against a team like Conant versus Schaumburg versus Hoffman. Mm-hmm. We've got Frem coming up next month.
Yeah.
It's really just making sure our guys are prepared, and based on the non-conference schedule we play, the tournaments we play in, the hope is that by the time you get to the postseason, but also if you get to play in any large championship game at the end, that you've seen so many different styles of play that you give your team the best chance to compete and try and win a championship.
Absolutely, Coach. Postseason only about 6 weeks away.
I know, right?
Can you believe that? And thank you, Coach Camardella. And stay tuned for an interview with varsity guard Ben Miller.
Welcome back to Prospect Basketball Weekly, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings in Mount Prospect. I'm here with senior guard Ben Miller. Ben, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
What were your biggest takeaways from last Friday against Rolling Meadows?
We came out hard, ready to play.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to see the guys, everyone locked in. We just got to keep that energy throughout the whole game and for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. How critical was it not to have to play against Max Christie?
I mean, it was kind of frustrating because we prepared all week just to play for him, and then an hour before the game we find out he's not playing, so that's a little frustrating because as we were all competitors, we want to play against the best.
Right.
So we'll get him again. We're excited to finally play him.
Absolutely. Now that you're 5-0 in the MSL, what kind of confidence does that give you?
I mean, we try to play with the same confidence the whole time, but it definitely gives us a bigger target on our back, and everyone wants to try and give us a loss because we have such a big lead on the rest of the East.
Absolutely. Do you enjoy like being, the head of the pack, having that target on your back, like you said?
Yeah, absolutely. Just because you always want to be the best, and
Right.
you never want to rely on someone else you never want to need someone else to lose to try and make a comeback. So it's good to just always be in the front of the pack.
Absolutely. And going into your game on Friday against Wheeling, what's the mindset like in the locker room?
Stay locked in. You can't drop any game. Every East game is important, especially playing at Wheeling because we had trouble earlier this year playing there in the tournaments.
Absolutely. And what are you going to have to prepare for the most against Wheeling?
Everyone locked in on defense, guarding their two best guys, knowing where they are at all times pretty much.
All right. That's all we have for Ben Miller. Stay tuned with an interview with girls head coach Marie Miller. Welcome back to Prospect Basketball Weekly, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings in Mount Prospect. I'm here with girls head coach Marie Miller. Coach, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
What were your biggest takeaways against last Friday against Rolling Meadows?
It's been a long time since Prospects beat Meadows, period, let alone at Rolling Meadows High School. And the ebbs and flows of the game were coming up and coming down, and we made sure to play with confidence, and we kept control of our own tempo. And seeing the way we kind of won a little bit on the dirtier side while at Dundee Crown, especially in that double overtime championship, I think that instilled a lot of confidence in all of our players that, okay, listen, they get up a little bit, okay, we can go ahead and catch them.
Right.
Kind of been the comeback kids the entire year this year. Hopefully 2019 kind of settles that part down a little bit. But, this was huge. Huge for our confidence as players, huge for our position in the MSL, just huge for our overall season. So
Absolutely. What kind of confidence does that give you with an important win like that?
A lot. We have this 4-way tie for first place now. So we've shown that we can kind of take down this powerhouse of Meadows that, it's kind of been something that's always been in the back of the girls' minds and things like that as far as where they stand in comparison to a team like Meadows.
Right.
And not only did we show that we could play with them, we showed that we could beat them. So they can play with anybody.
Right.
We needed a game like this. We needed to beat, this is now our second or third team that's over 500 that we were able to compete with and beat. We've been able to compete with everybody, but definitely beating them obviously gives us that extra pump. But just giving them the confidence now that they are the ones that got us this far. Now they are the ones in control of how far we go.
Absolutely. You mentioned the 4-way tie with four teams, now all 3-2 in the MSL East. What will you have to do to put, get into that extra gear towards the end of the season?
Win. Win out and continue like we keep telling the kids. Just play like Prospect. Play our game plan. It's not changing.
Right.
We're not changing anything. We're going to do exactly what we've been preaching since summertime. And, that's to just play like Prospect. We don't have to try and come up with anything fancy or anything different or anything secret magic plays.
Right.
They just need to be themselves.
Absolutely.
And continue to compete.
Absolutely. And what will be the most important thing going to your game on Friday against Wheeling?
The most important thing will be we actually play tonight against BG, so this is going to be one of the most important games of the season because they're one of the three other teams that are in the 4-way tie. So it's us, BG, Meadows, and then Hersey, of course. But continuing to keep our eyes, one game at a time.
Right.
Absolutely one game at a time. And all these MSL games are always important. But now with the second time around, we don't get another chance to play them. So starting strong and staying strong the entire game.
Absolutely. That's all we have for this episode this week's episode of Prospect Basketball Weekly. We'll see you next week, and go Knights.